love these guys so much. Hi guys. They make the most incredible noises when they find something to eat. There's and you can see why they are called a banded mongoose. They're full of bands. Oh, I've just got to jump out of my turret. There we go. Hi guys. Now, they live in very, very close-knit social groups. As you can see there, we can hear them sneezing almost. There's too much dust in his schnoz. And they will defend their territory. Oh, look at the one. You see the one digging? Oh, you got him. Well done, Dave. Oh, what's you got? What's you got? So he's probably looking for dung beetle larvae there. Now, there are no scorpions in the Mara. It is too wet for them. So you'll probably find dung beetles, dung beetle larvae, millipedes, grasshoppers, birds' eggs, and a whole host of other insects that they'll feed on. Also other small rodents. Oh, see, look, they've got something there. Now, you might even see a bit of a fight if they get up a nice big juicy dung beetle grub. Now, they'll be quite close to their den at this time of the day already, and they slowly feed back towards home. Oh, nothing too big, maybe a small dung beetle larvae. Now, there might be... Oh, it could be a whole host of things. It's quite difficult. It's a little bit far for us to see exactly. There's definitely something in that pile of dung. Now, the Lion King, the movie, got a few things wrong. So I'm pretty sure when the Disney people came here, they saw the banded mongooses and they stand up like meerkats. And in this area, in Kenya, they're quite famous for feeding off parasites that are on warthogs. So that's where I think Timon got misidentified. Timon wasn't a meerkat, he was actually supposed to be a banded mongoose. But speaking about something that banded mongooses are friends, he's got Pumbaa.
Well, yes, we did have a Pumbaa, Brent, but unfortunately he decided to trot off, as Pumbaas do, into the thicket, and that was the end of that. And so we now just driving along and just admiring the beautiful sunlight. Now, because we have really not found too much else this afternoon, we are thinking, and Seb came up with a very good idea, to go and head towards the hyena den. So Seb, I think that's a fantastic idea. I think we should go and check it out. It's nice light now, it's getting cooler in the day. Maybe, just maybe, it will be active and we'll get lucky and we'll see that beautiful little cub for the first time. Seb, have you seen it?
Yes, for the first time yesterday.
You saw it for the first time yesterday? Okay, excellent. Yes, okay. So you have seen it, and only once. Alright, so we're going to try and see if we can't go there and get a decent sighting of our hyena cub. So all our hyena enthusiasts, hopefully you'll be on board for the next little bit, because it'll take us a few minutes to get there. We're still quite far away. We're now in the Mulawati, that is very, very pretty at this time of the day. Always love driving the Mulawati at this time. You get up with this golden sort of flecks of light in it, and there's the sandbanks, and it just really is quite a pretty sort of scene. So hopefully there'll be something lurking around here. It's always a good place to check for our resident spotted cats, and so we're just having a little look along. Also, I want just do one quick turn past Treehouse Dam and just check in case there isn't any sign of one of the royal cubs. With those lions being on Little Gari this morning and maybe hopefully making a bit of noise, I'm hoping it might have pushed Shongile or Osana up this way, and we might then get lucky and see one of them up this side. So I'm definitely going to go and just check around that side. But first, let's go to the hyena den, because the light at the moment is just perfect for hyena den action. As you can see, we're now starting to put jerseys on because it's starting to get a little bit chilly now. So while we kind of go on our way to the hyena den and see what we can find there, let's go across to Taylor McCurdy, who's also basking in the golden light.
Well, sort of, Tristan, a little bit. We're in the shadows at the moment, but I'm excited that you're going to the hyena den, because I obviously saw that there's a new addition to the hyena clan, which is so exciting. Now, I'm actually not even sure whose little one it is. I haven't had a chance to chat to everybody and catch up on everything, but I will find out. I'll have a long chat with Tristan this evening about all the happenings and whose little cub that is. So yeah, so that's very, very exciting. But Craig, maybe you can help me here, because I suppose you've actually seen the hyenas. Ribbon's only got one cub left, eh? You haven't seen the other one. I think that's what I heard. I remember seeing there was that older one, and Jamie thinks that it could be Gwen's cub, which would make sense, which is very interesting, all of this, of course. But I'm excited to actually go. So Megan's just speaking lovely words into my ear now, and she said that everyone seems to think that it's Scarback and her little cub, so that's quite exciting. I think I've seen Starbuck. I don't know Starbuck. I know there was one called Scarback though. Okay, that's a new hyena maybe. But anyways, so that's quite cool, so that's quite nice. I know I've seen Scarback, one that has that scar on her back. I've seen her, and I've seen Madam, the matriarch, and I've seen a couple of others, of course, Ribbon and Gwen. And that's really, really nice to see that they're utilizing that den. I just wish we could figure out exactly which other dens they're using that is active. You know, there's all those ones just in the drainage line just off of Rebecca's Road that are perfect, and I've done a walk down there. I feel like it's probably a few months ago, where we had the hyena on foot, and I reckon that they're probably using one of those around there. That's another tree, hey Craig? We won't cut that one though. We just banged another tree with the aerial. So that to me says I must cut it, but it's quite far up and I'm a little bit too short. We might have to get Tristan, who's much taller than I am, to handle something like that. Now, it's cooled down, like Tristan said, it's cooled down quite nicely. It's really refreshing. I'm going to have to put a jersey on soon. I can't believe how cold it's getting. And we're about to eat a lot of dust. Are you ready, Craig? There's another safari vehicle just in front of us. It's actually making a very nice effect. If we could only have a leopard or a lion now walking down towards us. How beautiful is that? From all of that dust. Sorry, Craig, I've parked at an awkward spot. Look at that. Golden light, beautiful dust that's now been kicked up by the other car. I think that would be great. Maybe if Quarantine or perhaps Kuchava came walking through. It's starting to settle. We're actually just going to wait for it to settle now, because I don't particularly feel like being covered in dust. Craig, do you? Nah, not really. That's probably one of the worst things, I think, when you go on a safari, well, unfortunately, taking the same route that another guide has just taken, and coming into these winter months when there's no rain. Of course, you know, the roads are super dusty. Wait till we have a windy day. My goodness, we're going to have a sandstorm of note. So I've just popped back along here. I want to pop past 3 in a row pan again, just to see if perhaps there aren't any elephants that have come down to have a drink just as the sun sets. Maybe we get lucky. We didn't have much luck first time round, but well, on a safari you can keep driving the same roads 100 times, and on the 101st time you could potentially find something. So that we will most certainly do, and maybe we see something else. We're probably going to pop past Mr. and Mrs. Blacksmith Lapwing again, well, the 4 of them. I wonder if the other pair hasn't moved into this area. Maybe they're trying to challenge the other couple for this spot, because it's a very nice spot. Hang on. Hoopoe, don't you fly. I'm going to try and roll forward, but there's an African hoopoe, and it is just so pretty. There it is, just off to the right. I think it could be going down to have a drink of water. You see it just moving in the middle of your screen. There it is. It's right in the middle. There we go. It's just popping out. Hello. No, you're not going for a drink of water just yet. You're looking for something to eat. But isn't that quite lovely? They are beautiful birds. Those black and white stripes on their body with that sort of chestnut colour. I suppose that's what it is. On their heads. And the little black tips on their little crest. They are really, really, really stunning birds. Now, of course, we often talk about this. for those of you who have just joined us and maybe this is your first time watching Safari Live, grab a piece of paper, jot down all the birds that we have seen today, and keep a list. I know there's a couple of you who have just started and you often tag us, and I think I'm quite behind. I saw I can't remember exactly the name, but I know your name is Mark. I've forgotten your surname. But you recently just started a bird list, and I think you were on 81 birds, if I'm correct. And I saw that I was quite far behind. I'd only added 10 birds to your list, so I'm very sad about that. So I'm going to try and catch up to the rest of the guides. And I love birding. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's a great pastime. Because as you know, we don't always get to see big cats or elephants or, the exciting things that everyone wants to see on a safari. But once you learn a little bit about birds, I can promise you right now, they are really, really fascinating. Especially this little character here with its long bill as it probes and searches for little insects underneath the ground. Now, it must be difficult as the ground gets quite hard. And now, Kathy and Gremlins General, you said it looks like a woodpecker. They do. They resemble woodpeckers, of course. However, they aren't woodpeckers. So they're more closely related to the other hoopoes, I suppose, like the green wood hoopoe or the scimitable hoopoe. But the woodpeckers are slightly different. And the woodpeckers don't probe into the ground like these guys do. And so it's the same thing. So the hardy-dars and then the hoopoes, of course, they've all got these amazing bills with a sensory nerve that runs inside it. And that helps pick up any movement from any insects, any worms, anything like that that's moving around underneath the ground. But it's like I was saying, it must get more and more difficult now because the ground is quite hard. This is not easy stuff to dig into. So I wonder if they're going to start feeding closer around the roads. Because I know if and closer around dams as well, where the ground is slightly softer. But on the edge of the road, the soil is quite loose and soft. It's obviously being turned up quite a bit. On the road itself, it becomes quite hard and compact. Oh, do you see it's chasing after something? So they wouldn't necessarily be feeding on the road. We do see them moving around every now and then. But I don't know what it's catching. Nothing in particular. Well, nothing big in particular, because we haven't really seen what it's been eating. But you can clearly see, just as the hornbills do, it throws its head back and the little insect goes up into the air and down the throat. This is lovely. Oh, wonderful. There we go. So Lady Starfire says that you are on 70 birds. That's fantastic. That's good to know. And don't be disheartened, because I know there's a couple of you, especially now that we're adding a couple of birds from the Mara with Brent, and soon you'll have Jamie and James on board too, helping to add to that list. Well, I'm sure a couple of hundred now, which is quite exciting. And I'm sure Brent's bird list must be quite exceptional. That's something we'll have to ask him. Maybe we can do that. Let's ask Brent, how many birds does he think he's seen in the whole of Africa? Let's do the whole of Africa, because I reckon he must be up there in almost 600 or 700 birds. He's been very privileged to visit some amazing places, and I can tell you right now that his bird list will be, well, every other guide on the planet of this earth will be envious of the animals and birds that he's been able to see. But that's quite cool. Thank you, little Hoopoe. You were quite fantastic. It's not often that we get to sit and watch birds like this. Normally they see the camera point towards them and then they fly off. They can be a little bit camera shy at times. Let's see who else we've got around here. Hunter, great question from you this afternoon. So something got stuck on my eyelashes, so they're working properly, so that's good, preventing the insects from growing in my eyes. But you were wondering, what is the difference between a male and a female hoopoe, the African hoopoes? From what I've seen, just looking at them, I haven't really noticed any particular differences. Their plumage seems to be the same. Maybe they're slightly different. Let's bring out the bird app. Let's look. Actually, I wanted to show you a picture of a Kori bustard, and I didn't do that. So I'm going to show you a picture of a Kori bustard first, and then we'll get to the hoopoe. Look how big they are. Look how cool that is. Isn't that amazing? They really are massive birds, and the males get much larger than the females. Okay, let me go out of here now. Tap, tap, tap. I have to turn it that way, and then it works. What were you looking for? Hoopoes for Hunter. We're going to go to H. That's G. You can see I haven't used... No, I did use this app quite a bit. Let's see if they give any differences. Let's see there. That's a male. So that's what they say is a male. Now I'm going to just scroll. That's an adult. They didn't specify there. That's also an adult. Another adult. Okay, let's go down here. See how cool this app is. Great because it gives you a little bit about everything, and you know it's great bringing up books, but my books always end up getting quite wrecked when they come out in the bush. Adult male. So there we go. So it has a cinnamon crown. Where did they say about the female? Female. So her rufous parts are duller and she has a grayer face. Okay, well that's quite interesting. Now, from that information, let's see if any of you can help me out, and because you probably took some screenshots as well, and maybe you can tell me if that was a male or a female African hoopoe. Quite interesting. I'll have a look. We'll find another one. We'll keep an eye out now. This is a great time for birds. They're coming out, having a last sip of water, doing a last bit of feeding before they go and perch for the evening and rest. And so yeah, so we'll have a look at that, but that's quite nice. Great question, Hunter. We're going to keep searching. I think we're going to slowly start making our way now back towards Djuma and see what else we can find. Maybe we'll go via Chitwa. But Tristan is still on the search for lions, and very exciting. I'm wishing him the best of luck.
Well, not just yet, Taylor. We're waiting for it to get a little bit cooler before we start heading in that direction, and a little bit darker. But we did go past Hyena Den, and alas, no such luck whatsoever. There was nobody at home, so we'll have to try and wait for that as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go check the southern boundary quickly, just see if maybe a young leopard has come across. So Megan's asking me a question, but I don't know if I heard it correctly. So Zach, age 7. Hello Zach, how are you? I hope you're having a good day. You want to know if a borderline, is that what I heard?
I'm not sure.
Megs, you broke up a little bit with that first part, but if a lion was a superhero, who would it be? If a boy lion was a superhero. There we go. Okay, thank you, Megan. So, Zach, if a boy lion was a superhero, who would he be? Well, Taylor says Catwoman, but Taylor we can't have a boy lion being Catwoman. That's not acceptable. But we can have, let's see. We used to have a superheroes called the Thundercats. Now, the Thundercats was a long time ago, Zach, long before you were born. But when I was a child, there was Thundercats, and Thundercats, there was a superhero lion there. And Thundercats used to walk on 2 legs, and they used to have cool swords and stuff, and it was epic, Zach. They used to go around and save everything and save the world. It was very cool. So I think one of those would be good. But otherwise, the superheroes that you know today, a boy lion. Well, it's difficult, Zach, because the boy lions all have different sort of ways about them. They all have different sort of characteristics or different personalities. So like you are different from any other boy out in the world, then they are the same. So it's difficult to put one superhero for all the boy lions in the world. Maybe we need to do the individual boy lions that we see here. So let's think about it. If we have Mfumo, now Mfumo is one of our male lions from the Birmingham boys, and he's always got lots of scars and scrapes on him, so he likes to fight a lot. So who's a superhero that likes to fight a lot? Seb, who would you go for? Maybe
from the Birmingham boys?
Nena, yes.
Nena, the warrior.
Nena is a warrior, so we can get a superhero from that. But I think Mfumo for me would be, I reckon, superhero-wise, maybe he would be like the Hulk. He's always kind of fighting around, and he's quite a big boy, and that's who I'm going to go with for Mfumo.
So
for Nena,
Hercules.
Nena, Hercules, yes. Hercules, he's a pretty boy, so Hercules. In Suku, I would go with, he's also a little bit of a pretty boy, so maybe like Captain America. That's who in Suku can be. And Tinyo, who's missing a tooth, Let's think of all the superheroes that don't have teeth. Is there any superhero that doesn't have teeth? I don't know. Maybe we need to find a superhero that does have teeth for Tinyo. I'm not sure, Zach. I'll have to think about Tinyo for you. But if our 4 Birminghams would be the Hulk, and it would be Hercules, and who did we say the other one was? Captain America. So those are our boy lion superheroes at this stage. I'll have to think of the 4th one, and then I'll let you know which one I think it is. But maybe, just maybe, we'll find... I'm just trying to think of all the superheroes there could be. Anwar says Wolverine. I like that one, Anwar. I think Wolverine is perfect. So Wolverine, Hercules, Captain America, and who was the other one I said? I've forgotten already. Oh no, I've got a memory like a sieve, Zach. I've forgotten who the 4th one was. Mfumo. Who did I say Mfumo was? Megan? Who did I say? I'm hoping Megan's going to help me here because I've forgotten. The Hulk, yes, that's right. So we've got the Hulk, Hercules, Captain America, and Wolverine. There we go, Zach. That's our boy lion superheroes. What do you think? Who do you think they would be? Of the 4 boy lions, what superheroes would you like them to be? Remember, you can tweet and tell me which ones they are, and then Megan will tell me what you think, and if you like our 4 superheroes, or if you think we should choose new ones. Now, while we're talking about 4 boy superheroes, I was kind of hoping also while I was on this sort of southern area that our 4 boy superheroes were going to come north, but alas, they are sleeping at a dam on Little Gowrie and are sleeping off their big meal that they had this morning. They apparently killed something, I don't know what, but they were eating it with the Styx females and all the cubbies, and they're all resting at the treehouse dam on Little Gowrie. So hopefully tonight they'll decide to come northwards, and or maybe even go towards Chitwa, and tomorrow morning we'll get to see them all on Chitwa. So Zach, if you are around tomorrow morning, then maybe it'll be a good time for you to look out for our 4 boy superheroes. Now, just slowly checking along just to make sure there's no sort of sign of anything crossing. Now, just waving to friends of mine that you manage Chitwa that we know very, very well. So Stefan and Chantal, and hopefully they are alright. Maybe I should just try and radio them because it looks like they might have a flat tire, and they do have their daughter with them, so maybe we should just radio them and check if they don't want us to go and help them, because it's always good to go and help your friends in the bush. So we'll just try and get hold of them. Steph. It looks like they have a flat tire, so should we go rescue them, Seb? Maybe we should go and offer a helping hand, especially if there's a lady in distress with her child. We can't leave them, and so we shall be superheroes of our own, Zach, and go and see if we can't go and help out and see if Steph doesn't need some help with the changing of his tire. Also, we're not having much luck with the animals, so we might as well go and do a good deed for the day. It's such a bad... It's always the worst thing when you get a flat tire. It's like that moment of like, oh... And then you know you have to get the high lift jack off its sort of perch, and then you've got to go and you've got to get it all jacked up and loosen the wheel nuts, and inevitably the person who put the wheel on has tightened it too much, and that means that you end up with a situation where it's sort of difficult to get them off. Then you've got to get them off, then you've got to get the new one on, and it's quite a thing. And so changing of wheels is never my most favorite experience in the world, but sometimes I suppose it has led to some funny moments. The thing is though, with these jacks that we have, you can see it's here in front. That's what we call a high lift jack. That jack can be quite lethal. You've got to be a bit careful with it. I've seen quite a number of guides get very badly hurt by using one of those, because they sometimes lose gear and they use a ratchet system, and that ratchet slips and then the bar just goes doo, 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 doo. And if you're standing over it jacking it, it hits you here in the mouth or in the face. It can do lots and lots of damage. So let's see how Steph is doing here quickly. Now, hi guys, do you need a hand? Are you sure, bud? So Steph says he's all good, that he's going to be able to change the wheel on his own. So we were coming to see if he's going to be okay, but that's Chantal and Steph. They are the managers at Chitwa, so they always look after us when we go towards. And there we go. Just waving hello. Are you sure you're alright, bud? You don't need a hand? I don't know, I was just looking for any signs of leopard tracks, but no luck. So Steph hasn't had any luck for leopard either. Now we're going to carry on and see if we can't find anything, and while we do that, let's go across to Taylor and see if she's had any luck on Chitwa.
Not yet. I'm just zipping up because it's getting, ooh, and almost crashing. It's just getting a little bit chilly now all of a sudden. It feels as though as we've just jumped off of Cheetah Plains, it feels like the temperature's dropped quite a few degrees Celsius now. Craig's even got his big jacket on. I've just got one layer on, and you can see I've brought back some new winter accessories. Even brought a pair of long pants on, and I believe that the mornings have been quite cold. So tomorrow morning, you all may see the first time in history me wearing long pants in the Sabi Sand, because I didn't wear long pants on any safaris ever when I was working at Sabi Sabi. I refused, and I haven't since I've been here either. But maybe, seeing as though we have no doors and we have no heater to keep my legs warm, and I don't have a blankie like James, that I might possibly have to, of course, wear long pants. Interesting question. Now, machine gun nest. I just had to say that first in case I got tongue-tied. The question is there any sugar cane on Djuma? No, there isn't. That's really interesting. I'd love to know why you were, like, where that came from. That's quite cool. So, actually, somebody that knows a whole lot about sugarcane is the man behind the camera this afternoon, because he's from the KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, so that's on the southeast coast, and that's sort of where the largest sugarcane plantations are. Isn't that correct? Hey, Craig? Craig says he thinks so. But when you were driving up and down, you saw lots and lots of sugarcane plantations, didn't you? And it's quite common, of course, on the side of the roads in that part of the area to see people selling it. Now, I'm not a huge fan of it. I have tried it before and munched on it, and it's okay. It's a little bit sweet, I suppose, if you maybe having a sugar low. Be a good thing to eat, but it's sort of more grown on the coastal areas. I think it obviously needs large amounts of water. KwaZulu-Natal has a much higher rainfall than we have in this particular area. But if you go driving down there, sort of, well, I don't even know the areas properly, but anyways, along that way, there is so much of it. Wow. Okay, what I'm going to do now is something I haven't done for a while. I need to try and position ourselves a little bit further down the road. There's the most beautiful haze in the sky this afternoon, but you can just start to see the Drakensberg Mountains, and it's really quite pretty. So that's going to be the next thing we try and get a view of. But as you know, it's quite difficult because we're on Gari Main now, and we've got the power lines running just here to the right of us. So we've got to just try and find a gap where we can look underneath them, or hopefully get high enough that we can just look over the top of them. But before we even do that, there is a bird walking in the road. Which bird do we have walking in the road? It is a turtle dove. By the looks of it, doesn't look like it has a... Oh, hello. Didn't look like it had a red eye, and you can see that beautiful collar on the back of its neck, and it also flicked its little feet for you. Something must have been annoying it. But also, just going about its day now, we actually might start hearing the turtle doves and the guinea fowls as we come back into a full moon again. That's always one of my favorite things to hear is, as you know, these guys go to bed as soon as the sun goes down. We don't normally see them, but the brighter that it gets out here, the longer that they stay out. And for some bizarre reason, the turtle doves and the helmeted guinea fowls just absolutely love it out here. And they seem to just sing all the time and whenever they can, and I can actually hear a whole lot of birds in the distance just doing the dawn chorus, but it might be a bit far away for all of you to hear. Now, the reason why I didn't actually pop through Chitwa in the end is I just remembered that I know that Wendy's going to lose signal if we go over the dam wall. And we did see some male leopard tracks just out of here. Again, I'm not sure how old they were. It was quite difficult to tell, but that was a cheetah cut line. Now, this is a particular favorite route in Ghana. And so perhaps you can help me out, hashtag Safari Live, if you know exactly where Tingana has been hanging around. We saw him last night in quarantine, hey? And he was going east. Isn't that correct, Craig? I think he was going east. So that means if he's gone a little bit into Buffalo's Torchwood, he could be around this area somewhere, and this is the perfect time, the perfect temperature for a big male leopard to move around. So that's why I thought, let's change our route just slightly as well and come through here. But there was a snake. Which snake was moving around here? Let's have a look. Someone crossed the road not too long ago, actually. Maybe we'll be able to find it. And you won't be able to see the tracks now because I've now driven over them. Oh, you can sort of see them. Look at that. Just over there. I'm going to jump out very quickly because these are very fresh tracks. This is a very, very busy road. And here's some oxpeckers over there, so I won't go walking in that direction. But these are very fresh. Cars driving up and down all around here. It's most likely from a puff adder. Let's quickly just check. See if I can't see anything here. Now you want to be very careful. You don't want to just go standing in all of these leaves because a puff adder will be so camouflaged that you won't be able to see it. And they are the fastest striking snake in the world. So I'm just checking around this little bush willow just to see, but I won't go venturing in too far because I don't want to stand on it and get bitten. That wouldn't be very nice. But we might have just missed this. Let me check this side as well. No. It's been such a nice thing. I love seeing snakes, and Craig loves snakes. It's his favorite thing. Favorite animal out here. Hey, Craig. Snakes. Right, let's go. Maybe we catch another one. Warming themselves on the lovely warm road. Oh, and the view is looking good too. So we're gonna keep going all the way along Gowrie Main until I find the most perfect spot to show you the Drakensberg Mountains and the sunset. However, Brent, still in Kenya, has got some elephants.
Well, the Ellies are disappearing in towards the east. We've got female and her calf with a magnificent sky above them. We're back in Kenya. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? As the sun is already dipped below a lot of escarpment behind us. You can see the light is disappearing quite quickly. And it's not only about the elephants right here. I mean, we've got the magnificent skies, but we got one for the birders as well. There we go. Another one I only saw once while at Djuma. A black-breasted snake eagle. Isn't he pretty? Now you can see there that very golden eye and the lack of feathers on the feet. Now, also, we actually see them quite often, and this guy seems to be in this tree almost every night when we're sort of rushing to try and get back up the hill before it's too late. We've made it on in time this time that we don't have to rush off, so we couldn't resist but show you how gorgeous that snake eagle is. Isn't that pretty? Remember, this is 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya, and it has just been a glorious afternoon. Beautiful out here. Now, for some reason, I've just been descended upon by about 1,000 midges. I don't know if can you see them, Dave? Oh dear, where did they come from? There's midges all around my head. You can see them. There they are. Oh dear. Fortunately, they're not the biting variety like you get in some parts of Africa. And now, Adele is wondering, have there been any animals in the Mara that have surprised me? Not really, not yet, Adele. They do what they do. Not yet, but I'm sure the time will come. Actually, I lied, Dave, we were surprised by an elephant.
Oh, yes.
So we actually were on the marsh. Oh, the snake eagle's flown. Oh, there he goes. But we were on the marsh, and that the marsh pride is famous from. And I was just showing Dave because Dave hadn't seen it before. The marsh pride has left the Masai Mara National Reserve, and they've moved north into the Conservancy, so out of our Traverse area. So, alas, they might come back, but it doesn't look like it. They're quite far into that area, and there's various different reasons why they moved. But while we were there, we were looking at, there must have been about 150 or so elephants spread out through the marsh. And we're about 900 meters away, and a female just started charging like it had seen something like I thought it had seen a hyena in the grass or a lion possibly. We've all seen how elephants react to other predators, and I kept trying to see what she was charging at. 900 meters is a long way, and she just kept coming and coming and coming. So eventually I was like, Dave, I think she's coming at us. And at about 500 meters, I moved the car to give ourselves an escape route, and she just kept coming and coming. So I started whacking on the side of the car and shouting at the top of my lungs, and then she stopped about 30 or 40 meters from us, and then she just still wanted to come. So I said, Dave, just hold on, we need to get out of here now. I think that's probably the most surprising sighting we've had in the Mara. And then she ran off and she chased some impala, and then she ran into another herd of elephants, caused absolute havoc there, trumpeting, screaming. I think she's possibly lost a young one. It's the only other time I've seen elephants really behave like that. Dave, I think it's up on top, the left one. Oh, my head. Sorry, I was trying to look at my... Not... Well, look at that. Now, it is a starling. Now, I'm going to let you guess which starling it is. And you can see all the downy feathers from the snake eagle. Because he likes to sit there so often, some of those belly feathers have been stuck. Sorry, Megs, I didn't quite catch what William's question was. Can you send it through again, please? Oh, off it goes. Now, William, who's 7 years old in Oregon, would like to know, are these elephants nice like the other ones? For the most part, they're nice, but you've got to remember, William, that like people have a bad day, elephants can have a bad day. So elephants can, most of the time, they are nice, but sometimes they can be naughty or grumpy or angry or sad. So it all depends, just like people. But most of the time, I think the elephants are always nice. Oh, isn't that beautiful? It's just the vistas here are just too gorgeous. And see this female, she's actually eating... You can see she's actually eating little creepers that are growing in the grass at the moment. She's not actually eating the grass itself. But you see, it's getting quite dark. We're going to dash up the hill, but we're going to leave you with this last view of this gorgeous elephant. And Tristan is going to take you to a breathtaking view of a golden African sunset.
Well, it's not quite gold, Brent. It's now starting to change to a more sort of reddish coloration as the sun has already gone down. But it was the most beautiful light a little bit earlier. There was that gold light sort of falling down, and now it's just this sort of orange glow that's coming from behind the trees, and it really is very, very pretty. And I found myself here yesterday afternoon for the same sunset, and now I'm back here again at Treehouse Dam. I just love the reflections here and the light that you see, because you get up onto this dam wall and you're slightly higher, and you can then see around, and you get this beautiful view of the sort of western skyline, and the trees reflecting in the water is always such a pleasant view. And also, because we went and helped out, and Seb and I were good Samaritans, we decided to help out anyway, even though they said no, and we just got them their spare tire on and went on our way. So that was good. And then we decided, well, we would come and check towards Treehouse Dam just to see if there wasn't any sign of the royal cubs around here, but alas, there has been no sign yet. So what I was thinking is that we would just sit here and listen for a little bit and sort of take in the view and enjoy this sort of last moments of the sunset, and then from there probably try just one more time across the hyena den, and then onward and upward towards Gallagher shortcut for Ambys. But it is such a peaceful time at this sort of time of the day with the sunset that we've got at the moment. It really is very pretty just to sit around this dam area and just to listen around what's going on. You know, you hear the sort of Cape turtle doves are calling every now and then, but it is starting to get very quiet. It's sometimes nice just to listen to sort of sunset sounds. Very, very cool. And like I say, very peaceful this afternoon. I was also hoping there would be some elephants here. I did find some tracks for elephants sort of heading down towards this area, but unfortunately they seem to have already bypassed the dam and carried on. I thought might be in luck and have some Ellies drinking in the sort of late afternoon, but alas, they have moved on. Right, Seb, I think let's start moving slowly towards the hyena den. Maybe we get lucky and they've come since we've been there last. I don't know if they would have. It's only been sort of half an hour since we went past again, but you never know. It is getting to that time of the day that the hyenas would start sort of waking up and moving around. So it might be worth just taking one last shot at it and seeing if maybe we can get lucky. Sometimes you are rewarded for patience and perseverance, and so let's try our luck. Right, now Miss McCurdy is back on drive again after a nice leave of absence, and I'm surprised that she has waited this long to put on her jacket, but I'm sure she'll tell you that the temperature has definitely dropped in the last 2 weeks.
It has indeed. It was quite, actually, the area that I was in this morning was full. I had long pants on and jerseys and all sorts of things, and as I got closer and closer to Hoedspruit, the layers had to start coming off, and the first thing that I did when I got back to work was changed into shorts because it was so hot here. So that was quite nice. Now unfortunately our view of the mountains did not materialize. Just there were too many vehicles coming up and down the road, which just kept sort of spoiling the view in the position that I wanted to park to get the power lines out of view, but we'll get it next time. And then I drove past Ralph, who he sort of works at Jackie Sabi house, and then he also helps out at Cheetah Plains, and he's driving at Cheetah Plains at the moment. And he just said to me that they found a leopard on Torchwood, but right on the northeastern boundary. I didn't quite hear if it was a male or a female. He didn't quite know just yet either, but he said there was a leopard. So I wonder if it's perhaps not Tingana, because he did go east, and that's his route. He walks all the way along Torchwood, all the way along the eastern boundary, and then he comes back down. Maybe he'll cut across and then go into Chitwa. So it'll be a good idea, I think, first thing tomorrow morning for Tristan and I to make sure that we get to Cheetah Cutline and sort of maybe even Bivelshoek Cutline, the northern section, as quick as we can, just to sort of have a look around and see if he's not coming back. Oh no, it's quarantine. Just heard on the radio. Just having a little listen. He's just chatting on the road on the radio as we speak. Okay, that's exciting. So it's not Tingana, it's actually quarantine that they found walking around, and that's a bit cheeky, because we know that they've had a box before Tingana and quarantine on Torchwood, because that is Tingana's territory, not Quarantine's territory. But as he gets bigger and stronger, he's going to start expanding his territory, and he is going to start challenging Tingana more and more. And Tingana's still lucky. He's still a lovely boy, and he's still nice and strong. He's in the prime of his life at the moment, so he's got experience on his side as well. So he'll win from now on. But Quarantine's not a small leopard. He really is a big boy. Oh no, go away birds. I was just about to show you a beautiful silhouette of some go-away birds, but now I have to settle for some starlings. They were just up over here chatting about some Cape Glossy starlings making very strange noises. No, is it a Cape Glossy? The one on top sounds like it's trying to be a Cape Glossy starling. Oh, yes they are. Hello? Are you trying to compete with the crested francolins that are also shouting about trying to do their chorus? It's always a big competition, of course, out here. Who has the biggest mouth and has the loudest call? Turtle doves are now going. I can hear a pearl-spotted owlet in the very far distance. It's lovely, but what a beautiful view, isn't it? We're going to start seeing the most amazing silhouettes of birds, especially with the winter skies and all the dust creating beautiful colours. I think we're going to be in luck. Craig, what do you say about going to check Weirtella Dam? Good. We haven't popped past there yet, and I suppose I better go to the dam and have a look around there and see if the white-faced whistling duck family is still around, or maybe they've already moved off into another pan. Who else was hanging around? Megan, you want to know how close I... Buffalo, you gave me an absolute heart attack. Oh my goodness, I got such a fright because I was just about to answer a question to Megan and then I tried to hit the brakes but put my foot on the clutch instead and then just kept going. But as you can see, the buffalo is not worried, firstly, about my loud laughing, my scream, or the fact that I almost drove into him. He doesn't really care. Megan, I'm not far. I'm about a kilometer away from, about a kilometer from the dam. How cool is that? I wonder if this is not the same buffalo. I wonder if this is not the same buffalo that Tristan had earlier today. Whew, my heart is now racing. Now, he doesn't smell very nice. He's an old bull. His horns are very worn. He seems to have a very upset stomach as well, which is not good. But he still looks good. He's got lots of conditions. Sometimes they do get a little bit of an upset stomach. Might be the same one. He was obviously just resting here around Chameleon, so it might be the same one. But I was just looking down as well, just as we started driving around the corner after the starlings, after we said goodbye to the starling. I thought, oh, here's a fresh buffalo track, and then, whew, I seem to get a lot of frights. I've got to get my bush eyes back in again. Now, I wanted to go this way, however. Yes, I don't think this buffalo is very, very, very healthy. I think he's a little bit sick, but you don't have to worry about him. He's an old boy. It might be should be something simple, like he ate too many leaves that he shouldn't have been eating because he should be eating grass, that type of thing. We normally see that happening. But we're not going to follow him and go down that way because I don't want to push him off the road. He's decided that he wants to walk that way around, so we're going to have to take the scenic route. Very stinky buffalo. I forgot how badly they smell. Right, let's reverse. Now, we've been seeing a few Duggar boys, sort of single males here and there over the last few weeks. And Debbie, you were wondering where are the breeding herds? You said they should be back for winter. You're quite right. However, because we had late rain this year, the areas that have got very nice grass are still very green, and that's where the herds are. So they're all down south of, or around the Sabi River and the Sand River, and even further south down towards Malalan and Kruger, all those areas. And then they're north of us. They're north of the Manuleti in Satara in the Kruger areas. And I saw some massive herds of buffalo while I was around the Palabora Gate, so around Sable Dam and those areas. There were plenty. So we're sort of in this strange zone in the middle of the northern and the sort of the western Sabi sand. I think the grass is not as palatable and not as sort of favorable compared to the other grasses that are down south and further north of us. So they're there feeding on as much of the nice grasses as they can, because you've seen how strong the sun is and how it burns the grasses quite easily, and it goes dry so quickly. In 2 weeks the vegetation has changed completely. It was so green when I left and now it's completely yellow. So they're going to feed on those favorable grasses until there's nothing left. Then they're going to start moving into the areas where, well, it's an area like this where the grazing isn't as good and has got as high nutrients. So I think because of the late rains, I think we can expect to see the buffalo herds moving through here. Let's take a guess, Craig. What are we in now? We are in June. June is tomorrow. June, I think, let's say the end of June. I think we'll start to see them coming back. But every now and then they'll pass through here. Also, once all the nice pockets of water start to dry up, they'll come to all the different dams. So we've just got to be a little bit more patient. Normally, Debbie, you're quite right, they would be here at this time. But you can say thanks to the rain for that. Hello, Tesla! My favorite little girl, my number one fan. Not my number one fan, my advisor. Sorry, Madam Tesla, if you're watching. Tesla's a young lass who watches the show. And you're wondering, how long do buffalo live for? Well, it depends, Tesla. If we're having a drought, not for very long, because then the lions eat them quite quickly, as we saw the past 2 years. However, buffalo have got a relatively long life. They can live to, I would say, out here between about 30 and 40 years old. So it's quite a long time. maybe even a little bit less. Again, it's stressful out here. A buffalo in captivity or on a breeding farm would live for much longer because they don't have lions stalking them. They could get supplemented food in the form of pellets and this type of thing. Out here, when there's a drought and there's no food, there really is absolutely nothing to eat. So it just depends. So maybe even closer to around 30 years old. That buffalo was very, very, very old. His horns were almost broken at the tip. They were completely blunt. He's probably coming to the end of his life now. Anyways, well, Tristan might be able to hear us. I can actually see his lights not too far away from him. He's at the hyena den. Let's go see if he's found anything.
Fortunately, no, Taylor. No hyenas, nothing at the den. But there is tracks for hyenas from last night jumping about all over the place, so hopefully they will come out at some point, and maybe Taylor on the way home from her Chitwa escapades can swing past and see if they're not out in the last few minutes of the drive like they were yesterday. Before we found Tingana this afternoon, we popped past here and they actually were here, but we thought we'd go and quickly get to Tingana before he disappeared before the school drive. So they are around and hopefully they will be in. So I'm just a bit concerned with the male lions that walked past here in the early hours of this morning, but potentially might have kind of sniffed around here and scared them off. But I do see lots of tracks from sort of last night, and so I'm not too concerned, and the holes are so small for this mound that a lion would really struggle to get its head inside there, so that's at least a saving grace. But we'll definitely monitor this as we go. The weirdest looking track. Now I've got to think about this a little bit. I don't know about weird. Sure, the pangolin track is quite an interesting one. That's quite cool. I like hornbill tracks. Hornbill tracks, the reason why I like those, and I suppose this actually is quite a weird one, is that it looks like little human feet. So a hornbill has these funny sort of shaped feet, and when they stand, it almost looks like a perfect human footprint on the sand. So it really is a sort of perfect arrangement when you are sort of tracking them. I like those. They're quite weird to see. It's very creepy to see tiny, like, people feet running across the road. Pangolin tracks, like I say, are quite interesting because they have these big round back feet, and then they've got these claws on the front, and generally they walk on their back feet, and every now and then the claws will kind of just touch, and so you get these big round feet, and then you'll get these like claws touching in places, and a tail, big heavy tail that drags. So that's pretty cool. And then I also like weird tracks, also crocodile tracks, where you can actually sometimes see the belly scales and everything on the ground. So those are pretty weird tracks that are made. What else? Just trying to think. I suppose tracks for me are never really weird but interesting. So an interesting track that we do see is always sort of, that's more kind of what I take note of than weird. I don't think anything is weird out here after a while. You become used to weird being the norm, if that makes any sense whatsoever, but it is true. And particularly in tracks, there's always these scuffs and marks in the grounds all over the place, and you kind of, it becomes a challenge to decode the mystery, so they become mysterious but not so much weird. But I would love to see some weird pangolin tracks right now, wouldn't you, Seb?
Yes.
Have you seen a pangolin, Seb?
No, not yet.
Seb has not seen a pangolin. Seb, we need to sort that out. You'll be changed forever. They are the best things in the whole world. I love pangolins. Pangolins are awesome. They really are very, very cool animals. I must admit, one of my favorite things that I've ever seen. I love the way that they move around, and you can hear their scales moving as they go, and they look prehistoric. They kind of walk on their back legs with their front legs up, and then they walk around almost like an armored miniature T-Rex, except that they don't eat meat. They eat termites and other things, but they still look cool and prehistoric. So I'm going to stick with the fact that they're like that. And in my mind, in the years gone past, pangolins were 20 feet tall with massive claws, and they terrorized all the termites and ants around this area. So that's what's in my mind, but nowadays they're a lot smaller than that, but still very cool. Now, Miss McCurdy, who also has a very active imagination, I'm sure would like to weigh in on the weird tracking conversation.
I'm trying to think now, the weirdest track that I've seen. I think... No, I'm stumped. Craig, I did tell you what I thought my weirdest track was. What did I say to you? Oh yes, ostrich. I forgot for a moment what I'd even said. So I think that ostrich tracks are quite interesting because they've got 2 toes, and I've got a new roadblock that I need to clear today. I think I'm just doing maintenance. Let me quickly move this out of the way. Luckily this one hasn't got too many thorns on. Elephants. Pesky creatures these are. My favourite, but pesky. Run around before that buffalo comes back here. Also think I may have bitten off a bit more than I can chew here. This is a big tree, but we'll try. Should have just had to use... they've half snapped. Right, let's try and go. We've got to count now. 1, 2... Thank goodness I'm hiding behind the branches so you couldn't actually see that I'm now on my bottom. But it's almost off of the road. Now I'm just getting my cables all tangled. Right, one more big pull. No, I just broke it in half. That's fine. Well, it's sort of off of the road. That's from a termite. Let me get back in the car. Okay. You know what I've just realized, Craig, and I must tell you all. So, you've all seen that we've got all sorts of gadgets on our bodies. Earpiece. We have a mic pack. It's somewhere down my shirt. And what I've just realized is that I've got this puffy coat on. That mic pack is really quite nice. It's like an electric blanket. It's warming the inside of my jersey up, which is keeping me nice and warm. That's great. Right, let's see. Down on the dam, if there's going to be anything here. Woo! Fast. William, who is only 7 years old and from Oregon, another one of our young viewers. It's great to hear from you, William. You were wondering if we bring any snacks along for the animals. We do. We do bring snacks for the animals behind the camera. So Craig gets a little bit antsy if he doesn't have a little snack in the afternoons. So I have to give him a little biscuit here and there. You hear him, he starts groaning and making all sorts of strange sounds behind the camera. And then I've quickly got to open the box, find something, tissues. He won't eat tissues, but there's normally some sort of sweet thing in my box, and then I hand it to him and then he devours it. And then he's fine again. He's back to normal. Otherwise he turns into a monster. Not just Batman. He also sort of morphs into something else. But we've arrived at WildEarthTV Dam. But no, William, we don't bring any snacks for the animals. They're all completely wild. And they eat and find food for themselves. There's some, I think that looks like maybe Natal spurfowls. Just all of those ducks. I can't quite tell. No, I think they're probably ducks if they're at the edge of the water like that and standing in the water. Let's see. Eee! Hello! It's the white-faced whistling ducks. That's what it is. It's a little bit difficult to see. I'm looking at the monitor as we speak, and the lighting is much better than what I can see. But they look like they're missing a few youngsters. I think we counted 13. Now we've got 1 adult and 3 youngsters. We're missing an adult too. Perhaps the other white-faced whistling duck is off somewhere else. Maybe they've separated. Maybe one's gone with mom, one's gone with dad somewhere else. I can see a bit of movement on the other side of the dam. It might be a bit dark for all of you to see, so perhaps that's where the rest of the family is. But they are just resting. They're not swimming around at the moment. They've come out of the water now. They're having a preen as the sun sets, and there's a beautiful reflection. That's quite a nice photo. White-faced whistling ducks, I think, are some of the prettier ducks that we have out here in South Africa. And they've got a lovely call. They remind me of, no, they don't remind me. Yellow-billed ducks remind me of Daffy Duck. I'm going to try and play the call for you and see if you agree with me. Let me very quickly get out the bird app again. It holds all of these calls while you look at that beautiful view. D for duck. Yellow-billed duck. Let's see. Maybe I made it up. Maybe they don't sound like that. No. I always thought that they, for some reason, they reminded me of Daffy Duck, but they don't indeed. Maybe it's another bird, another duck, but I've forgotten now. Isn't that lovely? Look at that one just having a little bath in the water. That's so beautiful. Well, they're all joining in now. Now that's very important, and you can actually see it quite nicely on these ducks as they dive down in the water. Look how the water just with ease washes straight off of their backs, like water on a duck's back. Ha ha ha. And that's of course because of the oil that they've got to coat their feathers, because it wouldn't work very well for a duck if its feathers were soaked. They wouldn't be able to sit on top of the water very well. They'd probably start to sink. So that's quite important too. But it does wet their feathers just slightly. They dry a lot quicker than say a darter would, because a darter lacks the oils that for instance, that the ducks and the geese have. They dive down in the water. They need to come up and open their wings and dry their wings in the wind and in the sun. But that's so cool. Bathing white-faced whistling ducks on a beautiful afternoon. Isn't that lovely? I love that little wing flap that they do afterwards. And that's enough. That was quick. My mum would have made me stay in the bath a little bit longer, because I'm quite dirty, and as you can see me pulling branches, falling down onto the ground, rubbing my hand on mud left behind elephants and all these things. Ooh. Now, we've talked about the weirdest tracks. Tristan said pangolin and hornbills, and I said an ostrich. I don't have an ostrich track to show you. I might have a photo, but that will take me ages to try and dig it out. We'll chat about that at some point though. And Laurie wants to know, what is the weirdest noise that an animal makes? There are many weird noises out in the bush. Mine has to be in this area is probably from a great Gallagher, a thick-tailed bush baby. That's bizarre. It makes a sort of screaming noise, and if you're not accustomed to it, you sort of think that it's a human crying out for help. It sounds like that. Hippos fighting, male hippos fighting, sounds like dinosaurs. It's quite scary. I have actually played a sound that I recorded of hippos fighting. And that's quite startling. But yeah, I think the weirdest one must be, of course, from the thick-tailed bush baby. Now, you don't see them very often, not in this particular area. There's normally a couple that hang around. They seem to hang around the lodges quite a bit, but I have not seen one for a very long time. Now, I'm just disappearing down to bring the spotlight out, because it is that time of the night now. There's also an owl calling here. Let's see if we can find it. So I'm just going to check the tops of trees. A little scrub here just darted across the road. We don't have infrared, so I'm not going to blind it with the light. Let's go down here. Whee! A good area for owls. It's nice and thick along this drainage line. Good cover, especially during the day. It'd be a great place to perch, to keep out of the harsh sun. It's true. Didn't actually. It could have. Was it a pearl spotted? It may have been a pearl spotted. It also could have been a fork-tailed drongo, just mimicking. This is about the time of the day that they do start mimicking those owls. Now there's also a couple of elephant tracks around here too, so we must have just missed them this afternoon. But I'm going to send you back across into Tristan's vehicle to find out what he thinks makes the weirdest noise in Africa.
My weird noise. Now, I've been thinking about it and I wasn't really sure what mine was. I'm trying to kind of think about it and go through all the noises in my mind as to what comes out. But I was thinking rhinos, when they fight, make quite a lot of weird noises. It always surprises me how rhinos sound like a squeaky toy when they are making a noise. For big, large, sort of armor-plated, massive individuals, to hear them squeak is always quite comical. I don't know if it's weird, but it's comical, and I always kind of get a good sort of laugh out of the fact that rhinos do sound like squeaky toys. Now, I can't make a rhino sound to save my life, but Ellie, who will be on tomorrow afternoon, she can make one, so we'll have to ask her tomorrow to do it. But other than that, let me think. Any sound, day or night, hey Megs, or is it just a day or a night time each one? What else makes interesting? Anything. Some of the bats make really cool sounds. So some of the fruit bats, they make a really cool like clicking sound. Bush babies, I suppose. Oh, what else? Barking geckos, they make a cool sound. So barking geckos we don't get here in this part of the world. Our barking geckos are all in sort of desert areas. They make this really cool sound, so they're very cool and weird to hear a gecko making this barking noise in the sand dunes of the Kalahari Desert. That's often quite cool to listen to and weird to hear. What else? I think that would be mine, is a barking gecko. If it had to be here in the Sabi Sand, rhinos fighting, barking gecko otherwise in the rest of South Africa. And then of course there's completely sort of worldwide, there's all kinds of odd sounds that are made. I know Taylor actually, I was watching a video the other day and then I saw Taylor commented on the video that I was watching, and it was about a mouse that howls at the moon like a wolf. It was very, very funny indeed, and Taylor was saying that it's her new favorite sound. So there we go, that's weird. A howling mouse to the moon. So forget wolves, we now are on to mice that now howl to the moon, and it was very cool, and I'm sure Taylor would love to tell you also more about that too, because I saw commented on the video and was having a good laugh at all of it. So she probably enjoyed it just as much as I did, but it was very funny to watch. Can't remember where I actually saw it, but it was very entertaining. Right, so we're now heading towards where we had those lion tracks from this morning, hoping that we can see something. What was that, Seb? Did you see that? Something bounding away here. I didn't see it though. Oh, it's a scrub hare. So there we go, there goes our scrub hare. So that was what was bounding away through the long grass. I don't want to shine on it for too long, but just so you believe me that I'm not seeing things coming across the road, there was definitely something that jumped into the grass. I got sort of heart palpitations for a second because I thought it maybe, just maybe, was some sort of interesting nocturnal cat like a serval or a civet, because I just saw the shadow going across the road, but unfortunately not. Right, now talking about our mice howling at moons, they would be very quiet at the moment because our moon is not very big at this stage, but I believe Taylor has the video to show all of you.
Isn't that great minds think alike? Tristan talking about the grasshopper mouse, and that's exactly what I wanted to show you. So have a look at this, and also turn your volume up because it's the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. So that's that little mouse howling that you can see. Isn't that just the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life? We won't watch the whole thing, but you can indeed find it on Facebook. National Geographic has shared it, so it's really, really, really hilarious. I remember watching that the other evening, and I think I cried with laughter because I just thought, for something so small, it really can make quite a bit of noise, and I would never have expected a mouse to be able to do something like that either. So that's quite phenomenal. Of course, that's in North America, so we don't get them here, but I'm going to add that little critter onto my bucket list, and if I one day venture up to North America, I'm most certainly going to go and look for it, and I think that would be quite nice. I'd quite happily actually just camp out in the middle of nowhere, sitting, listening, waiting to hear that beautiful sound, but I'd probably roar with laughter. So as we all know, I'm not the quietest person. Now, Craig, have you been seeing chameleons, or have they been few and far between? Not too many. Okay, well that's quite interesting. So obviously it's getting cooler now, and the reptiles are going to start to get less and less, except the snakes. I always find that we see more snakes at this time of the year on the roads trying to warm up. Please move, scrub hare. I don't want to drive you over. There's a little scrub hare running in front of the car. There it goes, off the side of the road. And the chameleons, however, are not ones that come out and warm themselves on the road. They tend to disappear into the sort of thicker vegetation and hide away. So it might be quite sad. So we're going to have to start searching for other things now. But we could still be lucky. The days are still warm enough that we might see one or two here and there. But owls, we're going to start looking for lots of things. Adrian, Now you're wondering, I'll get back to what else we could find now coming into winter. Adrian was wondering what is my favorite reptile. That's a hard one. I like the gecko. Actually, I like them all, but I know you want me to choose one, so I have to think about it. Craig, you also have to think about this one. What is that? What eye shine did I just see? No, of course, because I've got spotlight, every eye reflection that I see, I'm so excited by, but it's probably just a scrub hair or a little dacre. Adrian, this is a tough question. And I also like snakes quite a bit. Let's go with a snake. I'm going to go with my all-time favorite snake, a brown house snake, common brown house snake. I really like them. They're quite nice. I also love puff adders. They're also one of my favorite snakes too. So yes, I'll go with that. But I really do enjoy the geckos, all the different types of geckos that we see. The tropical house geckos are quite nice. Oh my goodness, Inyala. I'm so sorry. This is Inyala and her youngster just in front of us. You can just see a little bit of them. I have dimmed my lights, of course. I don't want to be spotting them. And then a young male just coming up the back. I'll just put my spotlight just on the ground. You can just sort of see them. Sorry, chaps. Off you go. Be safe. Watch out for the leopards. Let's carry on. Craig? What's your favorite reptile? A vine snake. Okay, that's interesting. That is a snake that I have yet to see. I have seen them in I've seen one that was being rehabilitated once, but I don't think that counts. They have to be out in the wild for me to add them to my list. So I'd love to see a vine snake. And if any of you have ever seen do yourselves a favor, actually pop juvenile worm slung onto the interweb and have a look how beautiful they are. Now the adults are gorgeous as is with their lovely sort of green colors. They've got a massive big beady eye, but the juveniles are just something else. So if you'd asked me what is your favorite prettiest reptile, Adrian, I probably would have said a juvenile worm slung, and maybe share it with everybody else. So if you do manage to find one, hashtag Safari Live with the image on Twitter so everybody can see. They've got lovely orange, they've got white on their bodies, they've got sort of a dark grey. They are stunning snakes. But again, even though it is just a little one, don't pick it up, don't touch it, because its bite will be just as deadly as an adult's bite, if not even worse. So you've got to be careful of those. But beautiful snakes nonetheless. Now, of course, Tristan and I have been battling it out this afternoon, sort of saying what our favorite and weirdest sounds, tracks, and all these things are. Let's go and find out if he has a favorite reptile.
Well, my favorite reptile, this is another interesting one. I'm not actually sure. I have a soft spot for crocodiles, funnily enough. I like crocodiles just because of how intelligent they are and how they've withstood sort of the test of time, really. And that's always makes me chuckle in my mind, because standing the test of time is a a slogan on a beer brand that we have out here in South Africa called Castle, and a taste that stood the test of time. And so whenever I sort of say it, I always think of beer, and I suppose crocodiles and beer don't really go, but oh well, you know how it is. Oh, we have a little duiker on the road. An animal! Seb, it's reason to celebrate. We have an animal. Oh, we had an animal. It's now disappeared into the yellow thatching grass, which is that long grass on the right. So I think crocodiles, for me, I just love the fact that they are as intelligent as they are. They do creep me out, and they are one of the few animals that has the ability to make me feel quite fearful at times. Oh, sorry, have I cut you guys off? Because we have a romantic pair here. There's the other one. Now, I don't want to shine on it, but there's our duiker female. The male was the one that crossed the road, and now the female is coming across, because remember, with duiker, they're monogamous, so they're always together as a male and female pair, no matter what happens, unless, of course, the relationship is exhausted by force, which would be via the mouth of Tingana or the likes of those particular animals. So I'm not going to shine on them anymore, because I want them to reunite and have a lovely romantic evening under the stars, as they should and deserve to have. Of course, being a duiker and being at night anyway whatsoever, because they're going to probably be in a state of serious shock all night as they await any rustling movement and the hope that they don't actually get extinguished during the night. So if you're a duiker, I don't think there is such a thing as a romantic evening, more like a romantic days and joyous celebration when the sun comes up in the morning. Now, back to our reptiles, like I was saying, the crocodile, just the sheer sort of way that a crocodile is designed, the fact that it's able to do what it does, the years and years and years that they have been on this planet just amazes me. So I think that's why I really sort of, I suppose, don't love them, but I respect them and I have a sort of definite admiration for crocodiles. And you know, who doesn't like Vlad the Impaler or Boris the Blade? They really are cool, and they get up to all kinds of interesting things. And I've seen some really crazy crocodile sightings, and unfortunately they get vilified because of the way that they do things. And yes, it is sometimes a bit hectic and a bit gruesome, and you'll see, especially now in the Mara, it's going to be quite something when the crocodiles get onto the crossings and the wildebeest are crossing, and you know, the crocodiles come in and they start going after them. It gets very, very intense, but they just really are such an intelligent reptile that they do sort of endear themselves to me. Just trying to think what other reptiles I really like. Reptiles are a difficult bunch to like. I'm not a huge fan of snakes. I don't mind snakes, like I'm not scared of them, but I don't know, they're not something that I love, that's for sure. So what other reptiles are there? So Adrian, you're wondering what the most dangerous snake is, since we're talking about snakes. Well, Adrian, the most dangerous snake in this particular area is the snake known as the black mamba. So black mambas are very, very dangerous animals, and you've got to be very careful of them. But luckily for us, black mambas are petrified of people for the most part, and so when you make lots of vibration and noise, they generally are moving away long before you even know that they were there. So they're not the worst snake in the world. People unfortunately get such misguided sort of information about snakes, and they get misguided sort of hate by watching these movies where snakes attack people and watching videos where snakes go after people. It's not like that at all. Snakes are actually animals that are more petrified of us than anything else, and they tend to move and try and get away from us more than anything else. They're not really interested in being sort of confronted, and it's only when people try to pick them up or kill them that we end up in situations where they unfortunately, somebody, either people or the snake, gets hurt. So you know, snakes for me are not that bad, and black mambas are vitally important to this ecosystem. Without them, we'd be completely overrun by varying types of rodents like rats, and you'll find that even things like bats and all of that would also be too many. So they are important, but the black mamba is a serious snake. It's fast, it's got deadly venom, and they do have a little bit of a temper if they are cornered. So even though they do like to move away from you, if you corner them, then they can be a bit nasty. So I was coming to Galago Pan just to see if maybe this lioness that we were looking for tracks maybe popped out at the pan to come for a drink this evening. Alas, there is nothing but just stillness and darkness and Galago Camp in the distance. So while we try and rethink our strategy and see if we can't come out with a last minute leopard in the form of Tingana, let's go across to Taylor and see what creatures she's searching for tonight.
Well, I was just telling Craig, actually, Tristan, about all the cool animals that we're going to start to see as the grass starts to thin out. And I know that there's a white-tailed mongoose that moves around quite often on quarantine. You may remember from the Mara week, the first Mara week that we had, and then we did those very long safaris. So Jamie and I, we sat up for 10 hours, and it was so much fun. So I was saying that's a good thing to look forward to. And also the little barred owlet that visited the area, and we watched it catch a grasshopper, I think. The other thing, because we've done lots of talking since you were last with us, because I just can't stop, and I'm obviously trying to catch up, is that I was telling Craig, and I'm very upset about this, that I was beaten for the first time in history at Bokdrol Spuch yesterday. Very, very, very upsetting. I sulked the entire day. I didn't speak to anybody. I just ignored everybody. I went out and practiced by myself, and then Craig brought up the fact that the only reason I beat him the one day on Bushwalk, if you remember it, is because he had the Bushwalk backpack on. That was a bit of a tongue twister. And he says, wait, he's very sassy as well. He sort of did a little snap. He didn't, but I thought it made the story sound better. So he said that wait until next time when I don't have that bushwalk, you know what I'm talking about. I can't say it tonight. Wait till he doesn't have it on, then he'll beat me. So just so you know, in the next few weeks before Craig goes on leave, we will be having a rematch at Spook, and I haven't challenged Tristan yet either, so we'll have to meet him on the road one day, and we don't know how Sebastian or Ferg are either, so we'll have to test them and do some more Spook. I don't know how you all feel about that, but it's one of my favorite games to play, maybe just because I win most of the time, but I feel like because I've been beaten once now, I don't know if I can come back from it, and I think Craig and everybody else is going to beat me too. Oh, Tristan says game on, and of course it's the most competitive bunch you've ever met in your entire life here at Wild Earth, so it'll be loads of fun. Maybe we'll have to do it tomorrow morning. What do you think, Craig? Yes, we all meet. If we do that, I think we could do that. Instead of having a coffee stop, a morning tea and coffee, we can have a morning Spook competition. We can rinse our mouth out with water afterwards, you know, if you wish. I sometimes quite like the taste of impala dung. It's quite nice. No, I'm just teasing, it's not that great. So yeah, so that could be a challenge for tomorrow morning and see how it goes, but please remind us, because I have the memory of a goldfish and I forget many things often, so please keep reminding us tomorrow. Right, I see lots and lots of eyes around here, but not any eyes that we can have a look at, unfortunately. It's lots of impala just feasting upon all this lovely yellow grass. But speaking of, well, competition, let's go and see what Tristan thinks of my challenge.
Well, Taylor, never shy to back away from a challenge, especially a little boktrol challenge. Now, that's what we call it. That's the Afrikaans name for a sort of impala dung or kudu dung spitting challenge. Now, I'd be interested to know what Taylor's thoughts are on what's the perfect type of dung to be used for this such challenge, because there's varying opinions and opinions are divided. I always think that a little bit more weighty dung definitely helps when you want to get a bit more distance. So I suppose impala will be okay, but kudu sometimes is the best. I've done giraffe, that was too heavy, so we don't want to use that, but I'm always up for it. So Dave, you want to know why we would want to put any sort of poop in our mouths and why on earth this is a game. Well, Dave, I don't have the slightest clue. I really have no idea who ever thought of it first, but at the end of the day, really all it is processed grass, and it's gone through your stomach and is then completely dry by the time you put it in your mouth. And well, yes, it's not the most sort of cleanest idea or probably the best idea in life, but well, it's an idea, and it's one of those things. Now let's change the subject quickly, because viewers are shocked that we actually play this game, because there's a bush baby in that tree over there. I think it's a bush baby, Seb. It looks like a bush baby. It's very far away, so all we've got is glinting eyes at the moment. What is it? Is it a bush baby? It looks like a bush baby. What are you? Are you a bush baby or are you a bird? Ah. So we're trying to see what it is. It's very far away.
It's a bush baby.
Is it a bush baby sitting? Megs thinks it's a scrub bear. It's definitely moving its head too fast, and it's got binocular vision, which makes it a bush baby. Yeah. It's just a bush baby that's sitting on a tree. What are you up to down there? Is it a bush baby? Are we sure? Is it not an owl, maybe?
I also thought of an owl just now, eh? Do they move it?
It's definitely a bird. No. It's... We have all failed miserably, because I have said bush baby, Megan has said scrub hair, and it turns out that it's got feathers and it flew, so we are all completely wrong. And that's pretty much the story of this afternoon. We've been talking about this is what happens when you put dung in your mouth and you spit it around, is you lose your mind and become a complete nutter. But anyway, we're going to start making our way home, and while we do that, I believe Miss McCurdy has found something that she definitely knows what it is.
I'm too busy laughing at your comment, Tristan, about why you lose your mind. Look at that. Chameleon, and I can see that, Craig. Well, I think, oh my gosh, we may see a kill. That looks like a katydid. That is just on the left. It looks very much like a leaf. Oh my goodness, I have never in my life seen a chameleon catching an insect. But tonight could be the night. Look at its eyes. The chameleon's eyes are focused forward. It can see the bug. Come on, chameleon, make your move. Now, I'm pretty sure that it would be able to reach that katydid from all the way over here. They also make a very strange noise of the night, just by the way, so that could be another contender. Now, it's hiding behind the leaves at the moment, and clearly that katydid is completely oblivious to the chameleon, and it's facing the right way too. It's facing in favor of the chameleon. But chameleon, you have missed your opportunity. You could see that the chameleon was watching it fly away or jump away. I'm so sorry you missed your meal. And it's a big chameleon too. It's probably one of the larger flapneck chameleons that you'd get out here. It's probably fully grown by now. About maybe just smaller than the size of my hand. But that was really cool. Well spotted, Craig. I have to give all the credit to Craig for spotting the insect. We both shouted chameleon at the same time, so we both get that point. But I did not think that we were going to find one of these characters this evening, so I'm very, very happy indeed that we managed to find ourselves a reptile of the night. How cool was that? But maybe he's not interested in eating. They are more diurnal. He's just come out to have a little nap on this branch now. And as we sit here watching this chameleon, Jenny, you were wondering what would be the perfect ending for this drive. Well, for me, that chameleon snatching up the katydid would have been spectacular. That probably would have been one of the best sightings I've ever had in my life. But like I said, looks like it's got his eyes closed. Looks like he's gone to sleep now. And that's what they do. Just come out to have a little rest in, well, as it's night time. So, chameleon, good night. Now, a question that Ed has asked, and I'm not entirely sure of, you're wondering how often does a chameleon eat? Unfortunately, Ed, I haven't actually sat with a chameleon long enough to be able to give you an answer to that, but I'm sure in a book somewhere somebody has sat with chameleons for 24 hours or followed a chameleon for a week and observed its feeding habits. But I think to do something like that is quite difficult. So I'm not sure. They're opportunistic feeders. Again, like we see with lions, they take any opportunity that they can. And I'm sure sometimes, if they're not quick enough, they can go a couple of days, maybe not a couple of days, but a bit of time without eating at all. But you saw that, a perfect opportunity right in front of the chameleon's nose, really, in front of its eyes, and it didn't take that chance. And that would have been a great meal too. Katydid's full of sustenance. Now, Susie, you're wondering if the chameleons eat at night. Well, there's an example that had a perfect opportunity and it didn't take that opportunity. Maybe it was just a little bit too far away, just out of reach, but I wouldn't see a reason why they wouldn't. They are more active during the day and they do tend to feed more during the day. But this one doesn't seem to be too interested at all. That was really amazing, and that's why we do what we do. And we say this all the time, but you just never know what you're going to see. And I've been waiting to have a sighting eventually like that, where a chameleon will catch an insect, but perhaps I'm going to have to wait a couple more years. I hope it's not going to be too long though, because I know how excited all of you would be to see something like that. But unfortunately, we're coming down to the final seconds of the show, but I hope that you've enjoyed this sunset safari. It's great to be back, and I look forward to the many more safaris we'll get to take you along. So a big thank you, of course, to all the wonderful ladies in Final Control for all the hard work that you do for us, and of course to Tristan and to Sebastian and to the whole Mara team. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning for the Sunrise Safari.